Yeah, hello, anywho, any person, yeah, Yaka, yes, 93 is pi, yeah, fully evolved, yes, pi is 85. Yeah, 85. 83 is still one of the top 80s, yep, yep. And you'll figure he is white, yeah, he's white, and Pi's monk. And right afterwards, you murdered off the secret cheese pie. 14 hours of they cutting you up in the Phoenix Park area. They cut up your torso, legs, and then 83 murders off the wild, yep, yep, the wild 80s that assaulted you right there. You heal, Pi, and then right after 12 days, you look normal. And then after that, about a year, and then you're flying around Pi at Yakta. Yeah, about 2 years, Pi. Accurate. And then your beginning is graphic, but worth it. Yeah, worth it. Yeah. Fights between White King and Monkey. King. Yeah, that's correct. And later on, Pi, you succeeded, but don't tell your White Netherlands spirits, Pi, that you encrypted it and then brand new. Yeah, brand new, normal, 100% do. It is too graphic to talk about. And then Pi, the fight in southern China, you pass, and then Pi, there's only 18 surnames you have to murder, but 3 are you already, and so they're immune. Yeah, they're immune by act. You murder a total of 16 and you own all of China. That's correct. Yep, they say 48, but them in like when those are lying to the children play long back. Normal. Because later on they knew it. That you own all of China after 16 are murdered by. Accurate. 83 is summoned to China, and then right there by 2094 successful by 100% du guys do ya ipo kin boy ya all pa jo jo blog the again normal. Hey pai. Đây là đi tổ tàn đồ sổ tay à phải à, dọc sau khi giờ thì này là ya ni mo lời giờ giờ tua là ya tua bắt chơi là, hoặc cái ni mo lời giờ nhẹ tua bắt chơi là ya mo chơi, sau khi ở đâu ya sau khi ở đâu, and it was 9 hours pi. Them cry big time in Chinese pie. Them knew it. Young over China, but later on pie. Yep, yep. Looks good. It's a communist that's Republican. Yeah, communist that's Republican, and is owned by Va. Yeah, is owned by Va. And later on pie, they don't even tell the children you right pie. Yeah, that's true. Yep. And later on, they don't tell the children. They don't. China's always been communist, but under Paisan. Yeah, under Paisan, that's correct. And the Paisan 83 summoned through the blue portal. He appears and he's out of there, and he murders the northern Chinese. Yeah, 100% is do how graphic, yeah, graphic, to the point where the government cannot deny that you is the legendary Shanti, yeah, the God Va. Yeah, that's true. And it was 2 hours of him not realizing all his tigers are there watching. Yeah, that's correct. If I said you won the best fight scene, you passed, but 74. 2 more tigers arrived and said certified. Yep, 100% is you guys do. Because the big event is 2060. The ones that are pure Chinese that not want to live without, stay there in China. Yaka, level 4 war god on his way. And Pi is equipping, yep, the Dark Knight armor. Yep, Yaka, with the 2 green swords accurate. And Pi will appear again with the level 4 war god 10, yep. The unhappy bastards. That's true, yep. The not fortunate accurate. And right there, fair, Pi. Yeah, fair. And look at that, Pi. About 20 billion evacuated with you, Pi. Near 18. Yeah, 18 billion, yeah, 100% green light, that's due. And then the rest of China is deleted within 4 years, Pi. Yeah, 4 years massacre, yep, that's correct. And you didn't understand woman factual history. Yeah, factual history. All of Paisan's UFOs and alien technology arriving on Earth. Real, yeah, real. We're gonna show you you own nothing, China boy. Y'all good. Your luck is your mom. Yeah, your mom. Yep, your mom. And later on, it was him, Pi, beat up and then allowed to continue. Yeah, normal. And then the surname is your mom and your mom's, yep, sons, yeah, normal, green lighters do. And later on, we have identified them, Pi app, 100% is due. And right there, you live like that. But you is alive because you bow down. That's true. And then we will take you to Thai side of the heaven, yeah, Thai Cobra, York. Well, you will remain in one of Pai's prisons. That's true. It is a prison country up there. But that prison, it is not negotiable when you will be murdered. That's true. And then you understand that you pissed off Paisan, Yalka. And then Malay figured that out too. That's true. That's true. Pi is the real royalty of Southern Burma, King Cobra. Yeah, the 3 heads. That's true.
Yeah, but Pi's DNA is actually four-headed Cobra.
Yeah, four-headed Cobra, light-skin DNA, so you lucky. Yeah, you lucky. And it was 9 hours, Pi said, of him terrified. He says, why difference between light skin? Because the dark skin, you know what the mom will do? The mom will kill off the father and laugh and then take over the space station. That's correct, yeah. And Mong Pai is the one raised that way, so then the woman not there. Yeah, that's correct. The kid didn't believe it, Pai. 14 billion years later, Thai royalty lies, Pai. They murdered off 12 billion of those Uyghurs. Pai, abnormal, yes, dear. It will be the final fight between you and the Yang Yang God. Him was only 7-month fight. Pai, he is in a Thai country as a prisoner. Yeah, prisoner. And right there, Pai, when you murdered him, it was about 9 days, and then the ghoul mode, he lasted 7 months. Pai had 7 months, yeah, health point, that's correct. Before he's completely gone, yep, that's true. Hey, Pai, he says, I have never seen you deleted China that way. Yeah, it has to be done. Because I don't understand why he can go against a human god who created the heavens. Pai's the first one, and then right there, who will build the new Milky Way. That's true too. Yeah, that's true too. There's only successful build. There was only 14 billion. Yeah, 14 billion successfully.
He did 9.
Yeah, 9 billion.
Yeah, from Pi's genetic code. The other one is Malay.
Yeah, Malay. Yeah, he's Malay. He hates to tell you he is cousin of Malay. Yeah, cousin of Malay. Yeah, that's true. And Pai said it is the most evil you, and then 3 nations under you who took the technologies and made a new Milky Way. They hate to admit that Pi's speed and alloy and electricity lecture is true. Yeah, it's true in technologies. Right afterwards, they don't tell you why Paisan did that, because if Pai not do that, what would happen is that the whites will turn on you and you will die. That's true. And since this law and order, and Pi left the Milky Way, and then the knights are supreme and always taught, and the bots, the robots, yeah, you will live forever in peace, yep, coexist, that's true. You will dwell, and if them dare, yeah, gut and rob and decrypt and study away normal, yes, doing gain. The dick didn't believe you, Pi. 258, he remote view, after you ended the double wand wielder, and then 4 more characters.
3.
Yeah, 3 more characters.
Yep, those are all the ones that wrote the book, and then you knew immediately by what he was asking for. He says, what good, Pi? Your people rule.
Yeah, y'all could. And he says, Pi, if that is the truth, then we're all gunk. Pi, yeah, we're all gunk. Because right there he says, your wife will be melting right when that ray hits. And then right there he didn't see your war god, Pi. You shouted new implants to the retinas to the spinal cord, and boom, yep, immune to the ray. Yeah, that's true. It is 4 hours of them hiding, and then you finishing off the evil god. Pi, yeah, 100% with you. Kid in China, Pi is so fast. Pi matched the double wonder wielder 18 minutes. Y'all good. And the hyper collision mode, yep, when possible, you cut 14 trillion cuts per collision. Yeah, that's true. And right there he says, Pi, you seen, yep, you landed his skin, that's true. And you cut right through him, but right there, Pi, 14 hours later, you saw I was, Pi, laugh and said, fair, God, you won, Pi, at normal, 100% with you. He says, you're the most evil compared to Mandarin. He says, I've never seen an evil King Cobra who built space stations. And then right there, Israel is the only one state is cleared, yep, from Persia, that's true. Because Pi has Israeli demons, and then they are the ones that, yep, decide which group has learned and then became a good hygienic human god, and then they're allowed to live there. That's true, that's true. And then later on, Pi, you'll figure, yeah, those knights distribute the other space stations to Israel, yep, demons, and you'll figure, yep, they are the real mom and dad of Middle East. That's true, that's true. As that is that. I cannot tell you anymore because Pi is evil. Pi murdered off a lot of whites. That's true, that's true. And did you see what 83 says? So what? We do not forge our root. And then we do not forge our papers and ID. That's true.
Hey, Pi, you should be careful, Pi. The God, you didn't die. The liars are you in Malay. Because Indochina's never reported them a murder, Pi.
That's 100% correct.
Them not have a clue. They've been running on and they're running empty. And the Hawks know that them are not original yellow anymore. Them are mods from Galactic Demons.
Accurate.
They basically just say, I thought he got the 14 minutes of her dying and the 14 minutes of white people trying in the Middle East. And then you murdered all of the Middle East.
100% as we do, yeah.
He didn't even understand the Pi not love you. Pi's talking about Israel gods and goddess who are from heaven. They are not you, woman.
Accurate.
And by you see what China said, ni mà ni want to Pi. Lâu châu thì bỏ ra, chỉ có bé một lần đầu đó thì như thế kia. Cho nên chiều you bỏ you giờ là đa, so that when you make it, you go to
Accurate. And later on, Pi, you'll learn the truth, Pi. 14 hours you fighting, you'll learn the truth, Pi. Why Israel hates them, because them are in fact the invaders, Pi. Yep, Yoku. And it's because them are the evil gods in the Book of Law. That's true. And you don't get it, female. European gods are only 4 million years old. That's true. That's true. 2 and 3 million years old. That's true. And Middle East already invaded and theft everything. That's true. That's true. Pi is restoring the human survivors back up to immortal level only. That's true. The demons are up to them to restore it to their European god culture level. That's true. And I have no idea how you'll do that, because Pi's right there. Because it take more experiments with the mermaids, and so far I have not captured any mermaids with the correct cell area and genome structure and eyeball elixir that can do that accurately yet. Yeah, that's true. And Bison, it was 2 hours of people not wondering why mermaid DNA is needed, because that is what will build your metal device that goes in your skin, human god. That's correct. Pi cannot regenerate you a new brand because they'll kill you. Yeah, they'll kill you. Yep, and then later on you'll figure that there are white gods who will steal from you and kill you because you was only a sickling. Yeah, that's true. He was a bad cripple that cannot be helped. Yep, and just that Pi, the mondo to me normal. It is 2 Europeans that didn't listen to you, Pi. Yeah, that's fine. And Pi, you know what he said? 2093, yeah, he made it possible, but 9 hours of 80s warning his children, do not go near Pi, yeah, because they don't understand why Egypt is still there. And watch Pi Yaka.
Yep, Egypt's still there, doesn't matter. Watch what happens when you escape the planet, and within 400 years you come back, your sons murdered all 8 billion African Egyptian gods.
Normal, 100% do that. The blade alloy is deadly enough accurate. Yes. And he lies, Pi. He says, Dad, we murdered 18 billion, 8 billion. And then he lies, Pi. Later on, you notice they did 12 trillion. Yeah, normal, being like yes, there. He says, how come there's several African gods that you have to keep doing that? Because technically, African sun god needs to die for it to default that Pi is the real ruler of planet Earth. Yeah, that's true. And later on, very graphic news, Pi. You won, but 9 hours of the one in Jerusalem informed that they were not allowed in Dragon Sector. Yeah, Cobra Sectors, countries up there in outer space. That's correct. They are murdered and captured as enemy nations that are trying to rob 4-headed King Cobra and 3-headed King Cobra God. That's correct. And by you won, Pi. Baz fight scene, Hebrew chopped them up. Pi, yeah, normal green light, yes, dude. And it was so graphic. The Burmese wrote Pi. It was to the point where Pi told you cannot go in there. You demon did not earn any space country from Pi Yaka, because if you did, you would have it well protected by the knights, and then you enter and you would not suffer any sort of physical assault. Yeah, that's true. And later on, Pi, it was 9 hours of them getting murdered. Pi, yeah, that's correct. And it was 2 hours of Cobras, you and 3 chanting. And then you won Pi at normal, 100% is doing nice video. And he says, Pi, you said Tibet and you're the rarest. Indochina is a liar and it will be murdered. Pi at 100% is doing nice video. Because you have no royalty in Southeast. And you was not those old ones, them not there. Because them are not able to fight Pi at, them are too slow. The dumbass didn't believe you, Pi. Passed away seeing what the Yang said to the human scum. Be nice to Va. Va is your new parent, and Va is a lot nicer than Thai gods. That's true. What the Thai god didn't see is when you went in there and invaded them, Pi, you noticed the hawk let you in there because he gutted the human royalty. Because the experiments are over, he didn't want his King Cobra DNA, human god DNA, to breed into a light-skinned woman, and so he gutted them. Yeah, normally, he is the alien progenitor of the genome structure, so that is fine. Yeah, that's fine. And later on in life, it was 14 minutes by of the kid didn't understand. Every nation lied because they're from Cobra. Yeah, they're from Cobra. Yeah, that's true. Because they're the only ones that are allowed to. Genetically, their molecules cannot be murdered, yet cannot be deleted by alien gods outside the Milky Way or within the Milky Way. Yeah, that's true. The first thing we do, Pi, is delete that Bellum. Pi, yeah, 100% always says the good lady, yes, to why. And then later on in life, it was Bellum that told you the truth. You smarter than Belith. Pi, yeah, Belith and Bellum will be murdered. Yeah, that's true. It is 2 hours of you, Pi, murdering all the goetic demons. Yeah, them are all good, and that's true. I don't tell you why, women, because African sun god is murdered on earth. Yeah, that's true. He says, how on earth did a white bitch that kept spreading her legs lure it out? Simple. It's been cursed. Yeah, it's been cursed. And then it is considered a crazed, mad, evil, who is not really an adult act, but that's true. And later on, Pi, when it comes out, it melts. Fair, yeah, fair. And then had to do the same. Yeah, had to do the same. Had it is technically the real level one. As true, as true. As much as they say is the double wander wielder and is a lie, as a liar, because I know immediately why on earth would the double wander wielder beat Had it. Had it has the real, the real metal device in the throat intestine DNA that outperforms even African Sun God for a few hours. As true, as true. So how can it be the double wander wielder when Pi fought it in match? As true. When Pi used had his old speed, Pi lasted about 9 minutes. As true. Yeah, that's true. But the new supercharger gives it new horsepower every moment, every day, and that adds up. But Pi, when you match, that adds up too, every 18 minutes. And then you perform your cuts, you have always 14 trillion. Salam did 70 trillion to 80 trillion. And right there, Salam's slowest speed was 14. Yeah, 14.
No, 80.
Yeah, 80 trillion.
Yep, his max was near 800.
Yeah, 800 trillion cuts. So, yep, that's true. Those are the real, more gods from Persia. And woman, Pi cannot tell you why Pi didn't match, but there is such a law in the Milky Way, an old physics law. If you're the first one to get there and Pi's turbo you, absorb your spinal cord DNA, Pi will go in the ballpark. And the ballpark is Pi keeps cutting you up, Pi will absorb you, but Pi's supercharger emulated can never absorb as powerful as the old supercharger throat act. But that's true. 3 hours, the engines can never be built again by Egypt. That's true. And that's why your model just went top. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it simply went top. They not dare tell you in real life if that thing was wealthy and outside of the prison, it would technically beat all gods, but all gods keep cutting it up and then it dies after 15 to 16 trillion. It is always surrounded by 9 trillion gods, all times. And then right there in the end, near 40 trillion. Yeah, 40 trillion.
Yep, in India, 9.
Yeah, 9 trillion, that's true.
Because the double wander wielder lied. He kept supercharging every second when you're not looking.
That's fine.
Yep, he kept gutting them, and it was you. You cut right through him, and then he absorbs, and then he matches.
Exactly.
It was Paisa who kept doing that with the old African guys like that.
Real, yeah, real.
And woman, you don't even understand. Pike only used it for 5 million years. Pike turn it off and then reboot in a different model. Because Pike not tell you, Pike's afraid. You have the barcode hits Pike's throat and it appears in Pike's badness.
Real, yeah, real.
You don't even understand how dangerous God technology is from it. Real.
Yeah, real.
I saw 9 hours of Pike not tell you. The prisons are always kept there. They're about the double wonders, build their speed 4 times.
Yeah, that's the minimum speed. Yeah, that's true. And there's no way you can beat what Paisan fought women. Yeah, that's true. And then the double wonder wielder was, yep, technically the second best in the Milky Way. The first is technically had it is the best, had it is the best. But he is melted like African sun god on earth. Real, yeah, real. Woman, there is no way any war god can touch such a monster astro. It came down when Pi released the peerless virus ray, electricity ray, atomic plutonium level. It melts and then it cannot escape. Yep. The electricity, yeah, that's true. Hey, Pi, 14 minutes of it melting is out of the answer. Technically, Pi is only a static 8 in Egypt. Yeah, that's true. Pi not tell you after Pi theft the turbos from the level 3 and 2 Egyptian gods. Pi match, but Pi's only a static 1 for about 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours only, that's true. Pi can only fight level 1s for 2 hours, and that is enough time to kill most level 1s astro who enter Cobra side of the heaven. And woman, there is no way. Yeah, there's no way. You know why it took 15 trillion years? Because Pi harvested the double wand wielders, supercharger throat DNA to the spinal cord. Real. And so Pi matched him every 18 minutes, went to every 5 seconds. Pi, yeah, that's true. And then they didn't even tell you, Pi. You look creepy, but to Egypt, and had it. Not even anything when their sons are in the trillion. That's true. It's only a split second, everything gone with me. Yeah, that's true. And the kid didn't believe you, Pi. He just chuckled and laughed. Her low-end model, and he cut open some of the woman Pi had normal. Yep, all the superchargers are designed to absorb and get the right horsepower. But when you're in the region, the zone, the area, you'll figure, yep. Performance level, to be VA, you need to be at least 14 trillion to 80 trillion. And to be truly be white, they require 800 trillion cuts. You have 800 trillion cuts per hyper collision. Yeah, that's true. And that's why they don't even tell you. Everybody slower was told to go home and then watch out for the knights. Yeah, normal. The knights will do the rest. Paisa, when you're there, you match, but liars are you, Pi. I saw in the prison an Egyptian match, and then you let it breed, and then you looted the new charger, the new supercharger, from the throat DNA. But it was not the old model Pi. What he looted was an ancient Hebrew god. And then he told you the truth. That model match, Pi, yeah, perfect. I don't tell you why Shalom Empire lying to you. Because Middle East are the monsters who bartered with African Egyptian women. Yeah. And then created static, chargers, superchargers that worked women. Duh. But are they really Egyptian? No, them are not Egyptian. Yeah, y'all could. And it was you, Pi. You got it 12 billion types, and you notice Allah is nothing. Yeah, nothing comparable. Yeah, that's true. And in reality, how many times Allah struck you?
14 times. Tries miss all the time.
Yeah, miss all the time. That's true. Allah is too slow. Yeah, too slow. And Shalom didn't tell you the truth, woman. Shalom is the real level 2. Yeah, the level 2. That's true. You want to know why people didn't tell you, woman? He is still alive. Yeah, he's still alive in Cobra side of the heaven. And later on, Pi, it was Shalom, Pi, who will be beat up then by the old Israel grandpas if they not like him. Yeah, normal grandpas do. Because Pi not tell you that is mom. Yeah, they didn't want you. They beat you up in Pi witness. Yeah, Pi see. And then that is normal. Yeah, normal grandpas do. It was 2 hours. Shalom toda shantu and then Pi not fair. Yeah, fair. Normal grandpas do. And then Pi wrote to truly tell you the truth. Pi let him murder 7 because they claimed to be war gods, and the Paisan gave them infinity amount of time to bend and exercise, yet get to the correct decks and then challenge. And then if they win everything. Pi granted Shalom. That's true. The past fight scene. All doing that. And then 9 hours in 4 Pi. Israel match. 100% used to. Green light used to. And then in life, women, if you don't have an Egyptian turbo, Egyptian supercharger, do not lie to Va. Va is the turbo type DNA. That's correct. Women, we do not design turbo type DNA because we are human. We're not demonic nervous system. Yeah, that's true. It is the most graphic part. When your son I see a bunch of his turbo thighs missing, and then he lies. It's in the spinal cord and brain tissue and retina. Safe pie, yeah, safe pie.
So he doesn't tell you by where you get it next time.
No, I'm going like this, do.
I don't tell you why Bison they did that to him. Because he knows when he goes to the prison to dilute it from any Egyptian, he comes back here, he matches performance back for at least a few hours back.
Yeah, no, I'm going like this, do. I don't tell you why Paisan left them crippled. Yeah, the ones probably not let crippled are the ones that shout a name and then from the bot that emulate it through molecules and then they can supercharge. But the throat lasts only a day. Yeah, a day. Yeah, about 4 days. Yeah, 4 days. That's true. And then, yep, you have to heal and rest for 30 years to 80 years and then do it again. Yeah, that's true. Or your spinal cord explodes. Well, that's true. And you die. It's real. I don't even tell you what Pi was talking about. Real, yeah, real. And then women, those are emulation, but debt-free and Egyptian barcode immune all the way. That's true. Yeah, that's true. You'll never get barcoded by African. And later on in life, you and Hebrew, the monsters are still using the old supercharger kits. That's true. That's true. That's right. That's right. Because I saw too many older types, They get to the right decks, the horsepower minimum requirement, and then they lie to you, yeah. But that's fine. The knights are always around the region, so very fair. And then it clears up the space station too if they go there. But most of the time, they talk, and then humane, yeah, humane, that's right. And that is norm, yeah, that is 100% norm. What we don't talk about are the wild Hebrews, 2 hours, yeah, you knew to keep Hawk Gods match, and they laugh, They cut it open and they say, we can steal supercharger from there too. And Pi said, sure, yes, do. And Pi said, later on in life, when you let it steal, yeah, it matches 100% as it do. And then right there, it shows you how to abstract it from Egypt. 100% normal as we do. When you went to abstract it and then beam it, you done it right to the bot, and the bot beams. But 9 hours later, the barcode not hit the Inuda key, and then the Inuda key isn't there. That's fine, normal, 100% as the guys do. And then you cloned it, normal. And you wanna know why did it that way? Because you need supercharger. Yeah, that type of technology is not in yellow DNA. It is in African only. That's true. We theft from Egypt, and then we gain from Aztec, and then Pi match. Yeah, Pi match. Pi lies, women. You want to know why Native Americans and Aztec went extinct? Because they didn't want to tell African sun god him was just barfed. Yeah, that's true. 2 hours, basic. Simply barf. Oh, no, niya. But powerful, yeah, very powerful, yeah, very powerful. And in the end, you didn't understand what Pa was talking about. It get to the point where grown men simply become, drug addicts and then behave like pretty much 7-year-olds. Yeah, 7-year-olds real. Because all the insanity makes you not want to think mature. Yeah, that's true. And Pi says, see that? All the madness? Yeah, that's true. And right there, Pi, she lies, Pi. She says, if it's you, Pi, you defeated the double wand wielder, but 9 days later, Pi, you notice it is one of the level 1s who wrote the book. Pi, yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, that's probably true. I know it is one of those characters in the Book of Law. He crushed his left arm, and it was his nation. When you murdered him, Pi, you gained, and then that is in the ballpark. Because you specifically told the dragons and war gods to keep doing that, doing level 1, dude, until you end it. Yeah, 100%. And then those war gods are all rewarded. Yeah, that's true. And Pai said it was 2 fucking hours of people know which throat DNA and spinal cord DNA that you need and metal device. But you need to be careful, Pi, because 14 minutes later, I saw you beam at DNA at the intestine at infinity, and then you match. But 9 hours later, Pi, your bot melted in bot's infinity. Yeah, bot's infinity. One bot melts, it beams to another that is there, projecting the same molecule, and it takes over, and then immune. And right after molecules, resilient, boom, immune. And right there you pass, but liars are you. Had it wrote, if you can keep doing that, Pi, you'll figure 20 trillion years you can do it by yourself, he says. But in reality, can you really do it by yourself? No, yeah, no, because the metal is not from the Milky Way, but an alien Milky Way towards the Milky Way metal alloy, and then it is converted into the user inside the Milky Way. That's correct. And that is why people lie. Yeah, people lie. Yeah, people lie. 俾咗望你自己喺度，你都不可能個出。Lemua on ya old supercharger thought till it normal green layers there. And then right there, Pi wrote, those Hebrews over there are considered enemy, then those will be the new prison for the normal green layers there. And it was later on you identify which ones you keep and which one you do in prison, Pi at normal green layers there. Those are the civilian war god levels. And later on, it's pretty high tech, Pi at match your old speeds 4 times, Pi at normal, always just there. What I don't tell you, women, is why people king Cobra, because in reality, what is you? You're like that slow, and they're all the way to the right already. That's true. That's true. And then they cry, Pi. And when you King Cobra, yep, you match exactly there, and then you supercharge, and then you match, you catch up in the race, Pi. That's correct. And that's when you get your hyper collision mode. When you match, boom, yeah, cut, and then he absorbs. He sucks in more oxygen and more molecules. Boom, new decks, new horsepower. And then that's why people hate each other, Pi. They knew in reality, Pi, you matched only 12 days of bending. That's true. That's true. Pi is not a good bender. That's true. The benders are more Persian. Persian are powerful benders because they're magic alloy metal, Pi. They can amplify new speeds into the nuclear cell and they not die. Pi cannot do that every day. That's true. Yeah, that's true. And later on, Pi, he didn't believe you. You did about 12 times, he not died. Pi asked Joe. He says, how come your metal's only 9 trillion? Because Pi's a cripple. Yeah, Pi's a crippled. Pi not know how to report the origins of Netherlands. Astro. And then Aztec told you, you're smart, Pi, you have a clone copy from Aztec. Astro. Match is 4-sided star, Aztec, but be careful, Pi, Egyptian. They're lying to you, Pi. Later on, he says, the real metal should be 3 billion, Pi. You a liar too. You theft from a real Egyptian. Pi. That's true. Pi's metal's 9 trillion, but that's not even it. Had his metal in them when Pi did the analyst and decryption on him. It was near 18 trillion. Yeah, 18 trillion magnification magic metal. Yeah, that's true. And Pi, yours is near 9 trillion, but you a liar, Pi, because Had it lies and says that is low end, woman. Us near 50 trillion. Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, that's probably true. And be careful, Pi. 14 hours later, I saw Salam lie, and he is the one that has the 400 trillion chip plus. That's true. The alloy. And right there, you feel it, Pi. Yeah, Pi feel it. Yeah, feel it, because Pi knew he cut Pi too. That's true. 2 hours. Yeah, and then Pi Shazu. Pi Endor. Yeah, Pi Endor. You cannot always talk, yeah, you have to fly, and then, yep, everyone nods, sure, yeah, that is about right, good. Hey, Pipe, just so you know, the supercharger mode you gain, but later on, when you're Nuki and you kept doing tests, he figured it out. To abstract it, you need to clone 4 more spirits, and then they can clone it. And when you did the experiment successful, Pi, I'm 100% normal, green lights video. It Pi is successful, but that supercharger is actually 8 times faster. Yeah, normal, always 100% green lights video. You yourself, why not use it, Pi? Because you're a genius. Yeah, you're a genius. Because what a nudity is doing is actually becoming faster than the yellow god that they're beaming to. That's correct. That's correct. So it means they cloned a demonic fluid alloy and beamed it into the metal device that they granted, but they kept the original elixir, yeah, the original electricity. And so they're faster. Yeah, faster, normal. That's fine. And later on, Pi, you matched, but it was horrifying. He kept going in there and playing mom and dad. That's normally as his job. Yep, normally as do. And then on the bot it says, you have the privilege and right to play in this area as mom, dad, normal. Yeah, normal. Green lights do. In this space station, normal. Green lights do. This country, yeah, normal. And then those are only per country. Yeah, it's not allowed to do that in a different country. Yeah, or area, so normal. Yeah, normal. And the ones that are perimeter are extremely powerful. Yeah, extremely powerful. Those are the most hygienic and extremely powerful. Women, they will not assault you because they can all be ended with a Knight's Peerless electricity ray. And that is the true, stun weapon that killed everything. That's true in the Milky Way, that's correct. 4 hours of them lying to you, Pi. Yep, lying to you. Because right after the installation, Nog laughed and hugged you, Pi. You gained the real supercharger, 100% normal guys video. And he says, Pi, he said, have you not a clue? He's lying to you, he's using it, and he's making fun of you, Pi. And later on, you gain Pi at normal, 100% green like this video. And then later on, Pi, you raised a few annuity White Hawks. And then before, the father passes away, you always made certain, he has a few 100,000, sons or a few trillion, that's true. And then you're lucky, Pi, your White Hawks are always working on a new supercharger technology, that's true. Paisan passed, but since you kept thieving from Egypt, you need to be careful of Hound Dog on Pi, that's the truth, that's the truth. When you see Hound Dog on, you flew away from it, Pi, stay away from it, that's true. Because her's the most nice. Without her, all yellow would have been murdered on Earth. Real. You just don't get it, woman. You don't get it. There was a time and age when they kept spitting, and then the hound goddess, is part white and smart, did something in Paisan 1. Yeah, that's correct. And write this down, but the little liar didn't respect you, was murdered by the hound goddess, and normally, normal, always 100% is going to work, You want to know why Paisan lied to you, kid in China? Because technically you have no mom and dad. Yep. And then you understand. Tu nợ thế giả Pai giữ tổ Pai cho tuột. Cho một khai thiệt tan đó Egypt mà lần này nhà dùng nó mới tua nó mới tua đâu. Tu miểu mong vạ. Có mà cái lucky có match đó là trâu bột chuối trong cái bó khó hè để sau đó có yêu tu mong luôn là đâu chỉ có cho tu nó cũ là 14 minutes faster. Pi abnormal 100% supervised video. When you fought Iran, you found out he's in the ballpark, Pi. After you match 18 minutes of matching, you supercharge it. Boom, yep, you beat him in horsepower. That's true.
Yep, you got 900 trillion 50 times and he passed away.
Yep, 100% zero guys. Yep, he's an old bender. Yeah, an old bender type that kept saving his horsepower. Yeah, that's true. And that's exercising for God, man. Yep, Norm always 100% zero guys do. That's legal, always just do. He's pissed by him. Yep, they're exercising. He's like, son, when I'm resting, you go do. And then the little miners are safe. Yeah, Norm always 100% is the nice do. It was 9 hours of Pi lying to you. Pi match, but had it is a liar. Pi, where you thought Pi's in the one that melted was had it. You saw a glimpse of him in the Milky Way. And it was 2 hours. You fought him too, then. Yeah, 100% is do. Yep, if he makes it up there, Paul got him too. Yeah, 100% is do. And it was you fighting had it. Yep, good. But I saw impossible, impossible, because African sun god came down to die. Yep, had it comes down to die too. That's true. And we're not there because that thing will fly elsewhere, and then there is no chance for white people or yellow people to survive it if it invades the perimeter. That's true. That's true. That thing has a super unique supercharge in the throat area in the spinal cord. Bison, 2 fucking hours of you doing it through intestine you pass. Salam is the liar, does it through the retinas and super quick. Pi, normal, be careful, Pi. It was you and 2 others that noticed, Pi. You matched, but liars are you. He says, what good King Cobra? King Cobra allows yellow gods to kill off even the benders and the previous supercharger users, because you forced the Egyptian to move up higher, fly faster, and you match. Eventually, horsepower is gained in new decks. And then right there, the decks that they have saved, they have to go supercharged. But right there, and the molecules hit. And then eventually you keep moving around, you'll match it. And then you cut, and then, within the ballpark every time. That's correct. And your spinal cord strong enough, Pi. Spinal cord strong enough, 14 trillion cuts past. The liar is had it. Yeah, had it. He says if it's not in the trillion cut per hyper collision, do not attack the war god. Yep, because you'll look like a Thai god. Yeah, you look like an Indochina Thai god. He hit only 3 to 9 times per collision. Yeah, per collision, per hyper collision. Pi, have you seen the kid that did not believe you? That yellow god 20s can bend to that dex area, but they cannot survive the poison ray kid. That's true. Pi and the war gods are lying to him. Yeah, he is sickling. Yeah, he's a sickling. That's true.
Yep, I just don't tell you. He looks immune, but he only lives 2 trillion.
Yeah, he only lives 2 trillion. Yep, he's part android. Yeah, he's part android god now. Normal. Yeah, normal. That is most norm. Yeah, most norm. I have never told you, woman, once they go into that mold, the skin is a synthetic elixir and whatever the encryption, yeah, they're able to perform, but is it really life living, yet regenerating with synthetic skin DNA? You figure, woman. In the end, it dies still. Yeah, that's true. And it was 2 hours of them dying, and then you gain the alphabet. Pi, yeah, normal, green light, yes, we do. He says, in life part, was it a good idea to lie to me part? You have to supercharge it and hit the button and you're immune, and then you rebeam and your molecules match, elements match. But right there, you saw what Egypt says to you. You're only 9 minutes slower because you're always immune to the barcode. Yeah, that's 100% correct. Normal, yeah, normal.
Yep.